Still not working.
It says we're live.
Yeah, well, we better start recording something. I'm going to try to integrate the Facebook feed. Maybe I'll roll the video. Hey, good morning. Good morning, Lisa.
Morning. Good job, Chuck. We're all live.
All right, we
Live
did it.
everywhere.
We got it. Nailed it.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah. Yes.
Ah.
So good morning.
Yeah. So this is the part of the show where I say something that you weren't expecting. You love it when I do that. Listen, I think everybody should download that intro song. And like, if you have, maybe you've got some time blocking and you're going to set to do some real estate work, I think you should play that before you start your real estate work. Like, to me, it just gets me energized and juiced up. Don't you think?
I think so too. And I think that it's also the video and the words, about
Yes.
finding home. It's a good reminder. Like
Right.
I love that you titled this show, Take a Breath. Let's
Yes.
all calm down, right? Like, I don't know about you, Chuck, but I have felt a lot of hate in the last few months.
Oh,
Like, we are
okay.
not the most loved profession right now, right? Like, people are criticizing us, and yet we do great work. And I also think the words behind that video remind us, like, why we do what we do. We do it because we love helping
Yeah.
people. We love to me, it's all like puzzles, right? Like, we
Sure.
are fitting the pieces together. Like, and we do make it look easy, right? Because we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's complicated.
No, it's not.
A complex process.
True, true. I was thinking about something this morning and thinking about, okay, where I'm in I'm in an appointment with a buyer, and they need help finding the right property, getting, as we say, why does that seller, sometimes the agents they'll ask, a buyer's agent might ask the list agent, well, why is this person moving? Right. They're usually trying to juice for a little inside info, something they can leverage, and they give them the same answer every time. This house just doesn't suit their needs anymore. This house just doesn't suit their needs. And that's why they're moving. It just doesn't suit their needs, right? That answer is applicable in every situation, no matter what. This house just doesn't suit their needs anymore. And it might not be the answer that the buyer's agent was looking for.
No.
But again, I'm meeting with this buyer, and I was just thinking, I was like, I was talking about creating trust. And we kind of talked last week about the importance of, we talked about a few things. And then we ended, I said, you know what, it's really about listening, right? That's when you actively listen, people naturally begin to trust you because you're letting them talk and you're listening, and you should listen. It's a good thing. But I talk about, I was thinking about teams, and often trust is talked about in terms of teams. And we often talk about, well, I've got my real estate team. And even if I'm a solo agent, I still got my real estate team. I've got my broker. I've got my office support. There's an attorney. There's maybe 2 or 3 different attorneys we usually refer to. I've got a couple home inspectors. Usually, this one, like for me, if I'm doing business over on the north side of Genesee County, especially in Elba, I might refer, I know one of the inspectors is going to be Mark, because he lives in Elba and he's a great inspector, but it's his, right. So anyway, but I feel like that's my team. I was writing down other people, my loan officer, right? I'm going to make a couple suggestions, but I feel like those people are part of my team. But who's the most important person on the team? The client, right? The client is the most important person on the team. We need to do this together. And I'm going to be inviting them to join my team. And then after closing, to stay on my team, because after closing, it's about house management. A reminder to change your furnace filter, recommendations for someone if you need your driveway snow plowed, if you need something painted, if you need a blah, 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 I don't know, whatever it is. We got all these support we have through our Hannah concierge and your local support professionals that you make referrals to. Those guys, they're all on my team too. So they stay on the team. And that's really the most important thing I'm doing when we're going to meet at this introductory meeting is an invitation to join my team. And then we have team success stories. So
I like that because you're explaining to them what you bring, excuse me, what you bring differently than anyone else, right? It's
sure.
that personal touch, the fact that, you're not,
Well, let me interrupt you for a second. I don't know if it's different from anyone else because I don't know what anyone else does. It's not my job to know what other realtor does. I never, and I'm not trying to correction Lisa, it's not about that. I try to take, I know your value proposition sometimes is talked in terms of a unique value proposition. And I try to take the word unique out of it because to me, I don't care if it's unique. It's just my value proposition, so I can't know what others are doing. I'm just focused on my business, my team, and being that agent to get you where you need to be, and the client, being client focused and listening. Sorry, I didn't want to jump on you on that one. It's a little bit of a thing I got, I guess.
Yes, and all right. Well, I apologize. No, well, I like what you said. How about if I just leave it at that?
Fair
And I
enough.
think that consultative approach, team approach,
Yeah.
sounds like a way I would want to interact with a professional, right? Like
And
it sounds good.
to some degree, the more that other people even did it the exact same way that I do it, kind of supports me in a way now, right? Like you don't have to be different from everybody else to be successful. Sometimes there's just a great way to do it, right? And what if everybody did it the great way?
Mm-hmm.
It would, it would raise it. Maybe it would just raise it for everybody. That'd be great. Because you talk about we opened up saying, the last few months, maybe since all the news came out with the lawsuit, and then there's a resolution, and of course it's of course there's no admission of anything, right? That's what do you call them? Settlements are all about.
Yeah.
And for that point, I think we've been doing it. I think we've been doing it great. I don't see,
Right.
but it was just for the benefit of everybody. But I don't know, where the hate necessarily, or that bad review, or that bad, those get a lot of headlines.
Right.
And we need to tell the good stories.
Right.
Let's
Because
stay focused on that.
the good stories are out there. And as much as,
Yeah.
so for example, let's look at one thing that's gotten a lot of headlines, which is you need to sign an agreement before
Mhm.
before a realtor can show you a house, right? And
Right.
so that's taking one headline, one bullet point.
Right.
But what I would like to talk about today is okay, what does that mean in the real world? What does that mean to someone who's
Mhm.
looking to purchase a home?
Mhm.
Because there's a few different ways you can go about it, right? Like let's say I'm a person, I've bought and sold a few houses with an agent. I like that agent. I'm going to be moving within the same town. I'm going to come she's or he is my realtor. So I'm going to call them and say, "Hey, I'm ready to buy again. And when
Yeah.
can we start looking?" And then that realtor is going to sit down with me and they're going to go over the process again because maybe things have changed in the last few years, right? Maybe the
Yeah.
last time I purchased in New York State, we had an agency disclosure. I'm used to that. But maybe we didn't have a fair housing disclosure the last time I purchased. So
Right.
my agent's going to explain, here's a new required form and this is, and my agent's going to go over that. Then my agent's going to say, we also have a new agreement. I may have signed a buyer agreement with that agent in the past because my agent has always been a buyer's agent. So she may or he may say, this is the updated agreement. Great. No problem. I like, trust, care, like that's my realtor. I don't have a problem with it. But now let's say that I've never bought a house before and I don't have that trusted professional yet, right? We
Yeah.
talked, like you said last show, about what is a buyer consultation? How do you start that whole process?
Mhm.
Maybe I haven't done that. I'm unaware of the process, right? So now I call this agent and I just say, "Hey, I want to see this house," right? And the
Mhm.
agent says, "Okay, well, we need to sign an agreement." Well, maybe I am gonna say, "Oh, I didn't know that." Okay, I'll come in and meet with you and we'll talk about all that. But maybe I'm a little bit more hesitant. Maybe I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I've never met you. I don't know that I wanna
Sure.
commit to working with you." That our agreement, at least at Howard Hanna, we can make that for as short or as specific as a person wants. So I might
Sure.
say, "Don't worry about it, Chuck. I just need to talk with you a little bit about agency and fair housing. We still have our New York State requirements, and we're just going to sign an agreement for this property to take a look at it."
Yeah.
And then once we get a chance to meet and talk, we might go forward working together further. But don't, and again, that's where it's like, okay, we all need to take a breath. We all
Mhm.
need to back up a little bit and just say, how is this best going to work for all parties, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think about it too as far as a listing appointment. If you were going to sell your house, you might interview a couple agents, right? You might have more than one person come to your house. You meet with them, you talk with them, show them the house. Then you do that follow up appointment where you are committing to that realtor to sell your house. Doing signing a one property agreement to meet with that person before you do a longer term commitment to have them help you buy a house, that is perfectly acceptable in today's world.
Uh,
How'd I do, Chuck? Do you agree with what I said?
yeah, I mean, you sold me. Where do I sign?
So yeah, we are in the business of negotiating. We're not
Mhm.
in the business of arguing,
Right? It's
right? I wrote
true. Yeah.
I wrote I
Oh,
wrote that down. Negotiation, a discussion aimed at reaching an agreement. That if you
agreed.
look up according to the dictionary and
Negotiation.
and Jim Watson and Matthew Whitehead, negotiation is a discussion aimed at
Yeah.
reaching an agreement.
A discussion.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And I think this is a great chance and to reintroduce and to make sure people understand that we're representing them. Like,
right.
and what does that mean? It means like I'm speaking for you. Everything I write is on your behalf. I'm acting. I have to call you. We have to talk about everything I'm going to say to the other people because I'm saying it for you, you
Mhm.
know? And I think sometimes they forget that because there are, for many people in their lives, there aren't that many times when they actually have you know, a
Right.
representative arrangement. Most people do things for themselves, and because you don't need a representative, but buying a home is one of those times, and
Right.
it's just
Right.
reinforcing this the fiduciary relationship. And how can I represent you if I don't know why you're doing what you're doing? What, like I have questions. You might have it all worked out. You might want to go see that house and you're like, I need you to show me blah, blah, blah. Um, Listen, it's not just because I have a subscription to the app that opens up the electric lock boxes that makes it magic, right?
Right.
That is not the magic. Um, so we need to meet with them in order to like listen and
Right.
be able to represent. It takes effort. It takes like it's not that easy.
No.
Yeah.
I think that, and going back to what you said at the beginning, and tying it in now, one of the um things that you get from that trusted professional, that realtor work on your behalf, is confidentiality. So when you said that example about why are the people selling, and you had a very good answer, the home no longer fits their needs, but you do know why they're selling. Like, you do know
Sure.
how the need has changed.
Yes.
And but you don't tell everybody that. Just like if I'm
Yes.
representing a buyer, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to divulge um, you know, things about that person that might hinder that negotiation, that discussion.
And I don't fault the other agent for asking the question. You
No.
know, I mean, some people get annoyed at that, like, oh, why do they ask me that question? And I go, listen, ask away. That's fine. You got to have the right
Yeah.
answer. If you don't have the answer, then it's on you. Um, so I don't fault anybody. Sometimes I ask the question. You know, I feel
Yeah.
like if I can leverage and get a little info that if they'll divulge, I'll ask it. It's being prepared to answer it.
Right.
So you were telling me a story about being out of just earlier in show prep. You were telling me a story about being a little out of your comfort zone. You were in a little bit different situation,
Yeah.
but I know when it was over, you're like, you know what, I got this. Tell me about that.
Well, it's because there's so much change in our industry. And if
Hmm.
you're a realtor, like you've been hearing this all the time. But it was a good reminder for me that change is happening all the time, right? Change is happening everywhere, every
Got to
way.
keep it popping.
You got to keep it popping. That's
There
my
you go.
reminder.
You got to keep it
Even when
popping. I
change is
love it.
happening. I
Right.
lost my my keychain with a little Fisher Price popper on it. So if anybody knows where to find one, I need a replacement.
Okay. Audience,
Um, little
mission,
Okay.
assignment out there. Go ahead.
In any event, no, it's like, I was telling Chuck, at home, I have a little Keurig. I put my K cup in every morning. I make my cup of coffee. I'm good for the day. I've been helping out. I've been staying at my sister's for a few days, and they have a household where more people drink coffee. So she has a real coffee pot. Like you make a pot of coffee at a time. And I was like, oh shoot, I haven't done this in a while. I don't remember like how much coffee for how much water. And then on top of it, she buys the whole beans and now she's got a grinder there. So I'm like, okay, I think I can figure out how to grind coffee. And at first I was really irritated, right? Like, come on, like, why does she have to make it so hard? Why can't I just put my thing in and press a button? But then I'm like, okay, I can figure this out. I'm a grown woman. And then once I settled down and I took a breath and I got the grinder going and I was like, I forgot how good fresh ground coffee smells. Even before you drink it, that aroma is
Mm,
amazing, right? So I got the hang of it, figured out how to make the coffee, remembered it's smarter to set it up the night before. So I just press the button in the morning. So I'm all good. Then today, have to leave a little bit earlier to get here, do the show with Chuck. And I decided to stop at Starbucks and I was going to buy a coffee on the way. Well, that meant figuring out the app, ordering my coffee on the app, making sure I picked the right place I wanted to pick it up, and then going inside and finding my little name on the coffee. And I was like, but you know what? 3 different ways, 3 different learning curves. But every day I had a nice cup of coffee. Every day life went on. Well, not today. I can't tell you the end of the day was great, but I can tell you every other day it it was great, and I figured it out, and I really
okay.
felt like that was a reminder that
Okay.
we got this.
We got
We're gonna
this.
figure it out. We're gonna help our buyers and sellers through this change.
Okay. I just heard you say three different ways and you got your coffee. And that kind of got me thinking like, okay, well, there's maybe three possible different ways you might have a meeting with your buyer agent. You might set up something ahead of time, meet at the office.
Mhm.
That's my favorite, right? And no distractions. You can really talk. The agent can really listen. And it might take 90 minutes. It might take, I don't know, it might take 45 minutes. It might take 20 minutes. Um, I don't know. Another way though, you might do it virtually via Zoom. An agent might say, listen, just join this call at 6:30. You can be
Yeah.
at your house and there's some things that we got to talk about. I think, and I think moving forward, I mean, especially as you work with maybe with the newer buyer generations, they might be really comfortable with that Zoom idea. God, people are doing their whole college degree on through Zoom, and not just at like the University of blah blah blah. Like we're talking like SUNY Buffalo and
Right.
colleges are doing Zoom degrees. Um, and then or the other place you might have that little meeting, it might be in the driveway at the property that you're going to see, right? I mean, but the point is you really got to talk about these things no matter where. It's going to happen somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
And just be ready.
And again, like there's a million coffee shops. There's a million. I can see, if I had I think Panera is franchised, right? If I owned a Panera, I
It
would be
is.
sending those SIP club subscriptions to every realtor in my neighborhood. Like, hey, realtors, have your client meetings at Panera. Um,
Right. Yes.
because, again, we're going to be talking, we talked about confidentiality, right?
Mhm.
So you're not going to have the most intense confidential conversations at any coffee shop. Save that for a more private setting. But an
Sure.
initial conversation, there's no problem with having some initial conversations in a semi public private space.
Yeah. I think most people are too busy with whatever they're doing at the moment to, you know, listen or overhear
Exactly.
or
Right.
whatever. So, but yeah, I think you're going to feel more comfortable, more open to sharing when you're in that better, that better setting. So
I agree.
I'm really excited. Like, well, you know me, I love change. This is the change I've been waiting though for 10 years. Like, I think I said last week, this is one of the very first things I learned in real estate, and it helped me feel validated. And as a professional, having meetings with buyers, right? Even though every experienced agent was telling me I needed to work, focus listing. I have those. I go, okay, but you know what? Right now I can work with buyers. Let's have this meeting.
Yeah.
So now everybody's doing it, and that's great. I think it's
Yes.
where we've needed to be. So I think everybody should just be like, this is
Yeah.
awesome. This is so great. We're going to have more meetings. We're going to have more trusting relationships with our clients. Um, and I think that's the goal. That's going to get us referred more. It's going to raise the level of our professionalism. So I'm excited about that. I think this is fantastic.
I think it's great too, and we've talked a little bit about, especially once the date, final date of the change is passed.
Sure.
I like, I think it was Hadi who said we're moving out of the what if phase. Like for a
Yeah.
long time, there was a lot of, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if?
Yeah.
And now that the change is here, we're past that. So now it's like,
Yep.
okay, again, take a breath, we're going to figure this out,
Yep.
the day, as all of us realtors know, August 17th was the day that a lot of the changes went into effect. People still bought and sold houses on August 17th. People listed properties on August 17th.
Yeah.
So, there's you still have the opportunity to make a move. There
Yeah.
was no big, shift in the
Yeah.
universe that day.
So so I got a text message. So so I clients had a close. I had a closing on August 16th, close on Friday the 16th. And then I got a text message Sunday morning from my seller saying, "Oh, great. Now now we don't have to pay blah blah blah." And I just responded, it would have worked out exactly the same. Like it
Yeah.
wouldn't have affected how much this or how much that at all. And everything and her response was, you know you did great for us. Like they were so happy with not just what we were able to sell the house for, but the whole process, um and she said, when she sent me that text message, she ended it with comma LOL, like she knows. And
Right.
but it was like it was what about the person that closed the day before? How are they gonna be? Well, I had one of those, and I just said, "Yep,
Yep.
that's the way the ball bounces sometimes."
Yeah.
Got to
Darn
keep
it.
it popping. Got to keep it popping.
That's right. Hey, the day, the dress went on sale the day after I bought it. Darn it.
Darn
But you
it.
know what? Once it went on sale, what if they didn't have my size?
Right? Exactly.
You
You got
know?
it. Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, being part of the team, right? Having that consultation, that inviting them to be on the team, explaining who's on the team. And now she's still on my team. Now, hopefully she's on, and they had referred people before this. Um, but I got to keep her on the referral team, So,
Yes.
yeah. So
All right. Well,
I'm
I think,
excited. Well, we've got
yes.
something at 10 o'clock coming up. We've got what to say to sellers. So if you're a Hannah agent, make sure you've registered for that Tech Wednesday I think it's not that long too. I think it's maybe a half hour,
Yeah, I'm
or
looking
maybe an
forward to
hour.
that.
Yeah, I registered for that, so I'm gonna watch that.
Cool.
Um,
Cool.
so that is cool. It is cool. We didn't do any. This was a great show. I think this was fantastic. Give myself a clap.
All right. I have to say, if nothing else, you and I are more relaxed than we've been in a while, right? Like,
True, right?
I woke up on August 17th. The only person I feel badly for is our fellow manager Curtis, new writer. That's his birthday. So for like half a year, everyone has been talking about his birthday and no one talked about his birthday. Poor guy. But yeah, I
Oh,
mean, it's all
okay.
good. It's all
Well,
good.
well, I'll know Curtis's birthday. Now, expect a lot of cards next year, Curtis, on your
Yes.
birthday. Great. All right. Happy birthday, Curtis.
All
All right.
right.
Cheers, everybody.